This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Friday, January 23rd, 2026. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Potentially historic cold expected this weekend in America.
It could weigh down the power line.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Former Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's congressional testimony, he said that President Trump engaged in criminal activity. I'm Joan Jones.
Vice President JD Vance is blaming the far left for turmoil over the White House's deportation campaign.
You're going to have people that make mistakes.
I'm Ed Donahue.
On Wall Street, stocks open after 2 winning days in a row now, but inflation went up again. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Ben Thomas tells us that the state of Maine is the target of ICE investigations.
A lawyer for fired University of Michigan football coach Sharon Moore is seeking to have home invasion and other charges dismissed. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
All ahead on America in the Morning. More than half of America is preparing for what's being described as an historic winter blast, including record-breaking extreme cold, ice, and heavy snow, and expected disruptions to power and travel in 35 states. Here's Correspondent Clayton Neville.
The expected winter weather, which brings chances for ice, rain, and feet of snow in some spots, spans across 35 states and includes over 180 million people. Winter weather advisories and warnings in effect from Minnesota to Boston, down to Georgia, and further southwest into Texas. Parts of the Lone Star State are expected to stay below freezing for longer than 60 hours straight, and Governor Greg Abbott says he's confident the state's power grid can hold up.
The ERCOT grid has never been stronger, never been more prepared, and is fully capable of handling this winter storm. There is no expectation whatsoever that there's going to be any loss of power from the power grid.
Hundreds of Texans died in 2021 when extreme cold led to forced power outages meant to avoid a complete collapse of the power grid. Since then, money's been spent and improvements to the grid have been made, but that doesn't mean there won't be outages during this event.
Because of precipitation coming down that would be ice, it could weigh down the power line from the pole to your house. That could cause a downing of the power line for you or maybe for your neighborhood.
Texas Emergency Management Chief Nim Kidd.
People are going to try to use space heaters to stay warm. And I promise you somebody across Texas is going to put something flammable right up next to their space heater. And it's going to cause a fire. And the next is carbon monoxide poisoning. People will start generators. They will try to run their gas-operated appliances to keep warm. You can help us save lives by being aware of carbon monoxide poisoning and not putting things too close to your space heaters.
Weather experts say parts of northeastern Texas, northern Mississippi, and southwestern Tennessee will likely get the brunt of the ice. Because of that, many businesses and schools in parts of the South are closing early for the weekend and making plans for early next week.
We're probably not going to go because it's rainy and icy. I'm going to get an iPad, and then they're going to teach.
Some kiddos in the South just not used to the bitter cold. What do you wear when it's cold like this?
Jackets, pants, and stuff like that.
Are you ready for it?
Kind of.
Getting there?
Yeah.
The winter weather will stretch as far west as Albuquerque, and a foot or more of snow potentially headed for parts of the Texas Panhandle and the Ozarks. The highest snowfall totals, up to 2 feet in some spots, could accumulate in the central Appalachians and into the Northeast. In Dallas, I'm Clayton Neville.
President Trump is calling for former Special Prosecutor Jack Smith to be prosecuted himself. After testimony Thursday before the House Judiciary Committee, Smith testified that Trump engaged in what he called criminal activity. Correspondent Joan Jones has details.
Former Special Counsel Jack Smith testified about his investigations into President Trump before the House Judiciary Committee yesterday, a hearing that could be described as tense at best.
President Trump was charged because the evidence established that he willfully broke the law, the very laws he took an oath to uphold. Grand juries in 2 separate districts reached this conclusion based on his actions, as alleged in the indictments they returned.
Committee Chair Jim Jordan and Republicans on the committee cast Smith as an overzealous prosecutor bent on targeting the then former president.
Democrats have been going after President Trump for 10 years, for a decade, and the country should never, ever forget what they did.
Smith accused the president of seeking to prey on his supporters and said he looked for ways to stay in power, culminating in the January 6th Capitol riot. But he repeatedly sidestepped pointed questions about the credibility of the January 6th committee star witness, Cassidy Hutchinson.
And she told some stories. I mean, these were some stories. She talked about President lunged across the back seat, grabbed the steering wheel, tried to drive the car to the Capitol. And I just want to know, you think she was lying?
Hutchinson's testimony was later discovered to be second and third-hand hearsay. Trump faced a 4-count indictment in the conspiracy to overthrow the election, and separately, Smith's team indicted Trump over holding classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago home. This was Smith's first public hearing since he left the department last year after dropping the charges that he brought against the president. Now, Trump was live posting during the hearing, saying in one Truth Social post, Smith is a deranged animal who shouldn't be allowed to practice law. The hearing was pierced by outbursts from one former D.C. police officer who made lewd gestures and yelled expletives at Republicans. He was eventually tossed out of the hearing. This won't be the last time that we'll hear from Jack Smith. The Senate intends to bring the former special prosecutor before them as well. I'm Joan Jones.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, the more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Limited time, only at Sleep Number or sleepnumber.com. VP boots on the ground in Minneapolis when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. Here with America in the Morning. Many Americans are bracing for a wild weather weekend. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton with the outlook.
Today does mean another day with lake effect snow off all the Great Lakes, with snow showers focused over mainly northern and eastern parts of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and northern and western Lower Michigan. Flurries can reach across the rest of Lower Michigan, including Detroit, with more numerous snow showers downwind of Lake Erie and into western and upstate New York once again as well. However, the risk for snow squalls looks to be the highest from east of Lake Ontario into northern Vermont and New Hampshire, where off-and-on snow showers continue today as areas from southern New England into the mid-Atlantic look generally dry. Areas of sprinkles set up over much of North Carolina today, but precipitation turns more showery to the south and west. From there into southeastern Louisiana, where some patches of steady rain will mix in. There may even be showers over the Atlantic side of South Florida in particular for another day. To the west of there, rain and thunder build into central Texas, with showers toward the southeast coast on the warm side of a major winter storm getting organized today. That storm will bring significant impacts from snow, ice, and or bitter cold to at least 24 states this weekend, but snow and ice effects through tonight should focus on an area from Colorado into New Mexico and west central Texas, eventually working eastward into Kentucky and northern Alabama as well as the storm gradually shifts toward those areas. Watch for showers developing towards far southern California, Utah, and around the Arizona-New Mexico border as well, with snow instead from Wyoming northward into central Montana, but the rest of the Northwest looks dry today. In Winter Park, Florida, today brings some sunshine, the high getting up to 80. For Snowflake, Arizona, it's a cloudy and cooler day with afternoon rain and drizzle, high 49. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. As unrest continues in Minneapolis over the presence of ICE agents, Vice President JD Vance traveled to Minnesota to address the issues, saying the U.S. military right now isn't necessary there. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
In Minnesota, Vice President JD Vance is blaming the far left for turmoil over the White House's deportation campaign.
I understand there is frustration of the chaos. I'd say that we're doing everything that we can to lower the temperature.
Vance defended ICE agents.
Whenever you have a law enforcement operation, even if 99.99% of the guys do everything perfectly, you're going to have people that make mistakes. That is the nature of law enforcement.
One agent shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis. Vance is urging local officials to cooperate. He was asked about the detaining of a 5-year-old boy and his father.
The father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America?
They were taken to a detention facility in Texas. Officials at the boys' school say he was used as bait to catch the father, who has applied for asylum. I'm Ed Donahue.
The former superintendent of Iowa's largest school district pleaded guilty Thursday and admitted to falsely claiming to be a U.S. citizen on a federal form and illegally possessing firearms. Ian Roberts, a native of Guyana in South America, was facing a jail term of 20 years. For 2 years, he was superintendent of the Des Moines Public School District, which serves 30,000 students. But that changed in September when he was arrested by immigration officers. Roberts admitted that he's aware his guilty plea could have an impact on his immigration case. He could face deportation after serving his sentence. Trump's feud with a Wall Street wizard. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. It's Friday. Here's the business report with CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a winning day yesterday for the major averages, the second in a row. The Dow added 300 points, and they've nearly wiped out Tuesday's sell-off losses. Ritholtz Wealth's Josh Brown was on CNBC kind of saying, I told you so.
I was on the show very quickly after that series of Greenland-related Truth Social posts. And my comment was like, haven't we been doing this for 15 years? Do you honestly need to be told, don't react to the first tweet or maybe even the second? It's mostly algos trading that stuff. Why would you join the algos? They're playing a different game than you. That turns out to have been sage advice.
Intel shares were falling after hours last night. It reported strong quarterly results, but a weaker outlook. Intel shares are up about 40% since the start of this year. Inflation came in higher in November, 2.8% now, and the Fed's favorite measure of inflation, the PCE, Personal Consumption Expenditures Report. The CEO of the biggest bank in the world, JP Morgan, criticized President Trump on immigration at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Here's CNBC's Becky Quick.
On a panel here yesterday, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon weighed in on President Trump's immigration policy.
I don't like what I'm seeing, with 5 grown men beating up little women. Okay, so I think we should calm down a little bit on the internal anger about immigration.
And yesterday, President Trump sued JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon and his bank.
This suit sets up a dramatic confrontation between the most powerful man on Wall Street and the most powerful man in the world. Now, in the lawsuit, President Trump alleges that JP Morgan debanked his companies for political reasons. On February 19th, 2021, shortly after President Trump left office at the end of his first term, a JP Morgan spokesperson said in part, JPMC does not close accounts for political or religious reasons.
Americans are paying tremendously high interest rates on credit cards when they carry balances. You could be paying 35% on a TJ Maxx credit card, for example. President Trump wants banks to lower interest rates to 10% for 1 year. So will that happen?
That's not really expected to happen anytime soon. There's legislation that's out there. It's unclear if that's ever going to really pass. So in the meantime, how do you sort of present an olive branch to the president? B of A specifically has confirmed to me that they are looking at products that essentially address that issue, whether they're 10% for 1 year or 10% forever. That is unclear, but they're exploring it. They may not do it.
CNBC banking reporter Hugh Sun. On today's watch list, we get the latest on consumer sentiment and new in theaters, Amazon MGM's thriller, Mercy.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, Minnesota notwithstanding, the next state targeted by ICE officials. After these messages. The state of Maine appears to be the latest target in immigration operations. Correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
The state of Maine has relatively few residents who are in the U.S. illegally, but in its largest cities, it does have a notable presence of refugees, and that's put it in the crosshairs of the Department of Homeland Security.
People are afraid. They are scared.
Pius Ali, Portland City Councilor.
Imagine you are a parent and you step out to put your kid in a school bus. By the time you turn around, you are surrounded by ICE agents.
Mark Dion is the mayor of Portland, which has thousands of residents of African descent.
While we respect the law, we challenge the need for a paramilitary approach to the enforcement of federal statutes.
ICE says it has about 1,400 targets in Maine and had made 50 arrests by Tuesday. I'm Ben Thomas.
A fired prominent college football coach is seeking to have serious charges against him dismissed. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports.
A lawyer for fired University of Michigan football coach Sharon Moore is seeking to have home invasion and other charges dismissed. Authorities say Moore went inside a woman's apartment on December 10th, blamed her for losing his job, and threatened to kill himself in front of her. Earlier that day, Moore was fired over his relationship with the woman who worked in the football program. Moore's attorney said Thursday that the arrest warrant for Moore was based on, quote, misleading statements. She filed a motion to quash the warrant. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
America in the Morning for Friday, January 23rd, 2026 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Much of America bracing for a winter blast. I'm Clayton Neville.
JD Vance urges local law enforcement to work with ICE and federal officials to reduce the chaos taking place in Minneapolis. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
The documents are signed to start the Board of Peace. Correspondent Ben Thomas reports on outrage at the verdict in the Robb Elementary case and an historic nominating day for the Academy Awards.
Google AI to use your data for better recommendations. I'm the new old tech guy, Chuck Palm.
A new thriller is in theaters that questions the safety of AI. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. Back now on America in the Morning. More on that weekend weather situation from AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A developing winter storm will affect more than 24 states through the weekend with snow, ice, and exceptionally cold air, creating a widespread zone where even basic travel may be difficult or impossible for days after the event. As the storm starts to ramp up today and tonight from Colorado and New Mexico to the center of the nation, even into Texas and parts of the Midwest, snow builds in on the northern side of that storm from the Denver area through eastern New Mexico and even approaching Nashville and southwestern Kentucky by late tonight. This general zone should end up with at least 1 to 3 inches of snow, with up to 6 to 12 inches from east of Albuquerque through much of Oklahoma before the storm shifts into the Ohio Valley and northeast through this weekend. The icy side of the storm also brings significant impacts, with the risk for a mix of ice and snow setting up from northern Texas to southwestern Tennessee through tonight, and rain changing to ice from central Texas to northern Alabama. The risk for power outages will be highest from the Dallas area to central North Carolina through Sunday, where the ice may be severe and power outages long-lasting in some areas, likely into early next week. The rest of today's weather brings showers and some areas of steadier rain for the southeast, and another round of showers for South Florida in particular, with lake-effect snow showers and some flurries yet again from Michigan through northwestern Pennsylvania, even into northern New England. Snow also falls on central and southern Montana and into Wyoming, with rain showers over southeastern Arizona, central Utah, and perhaps even around the San Diego area. Otherwise, bitterly cold air behind a powerful cold front means highs as many as 30 to 40 degrees below the historical average from the Dakotas into Wisconsin later today. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
35 states will be below freezing for days as expected winter weather, which brings chances for ice, rain, and feet of snow, will impact 2/3 of the U.S. population. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports many states have already declared statewide emergencies and are preparing for the worst. Most of America's air travel will be impacted, and as states in the usually warm Deep South are setting up heating centers, wind chills in the northern plains could reach as low as minus 50 degrees.
The preparations are underway with winter weather advisories and warnings in effect from Minnesota to Boston, down to Georgia, and further southwest into Texas. Precautions are being taken. Some businesses and schools closed.
It's a half day on Friday, and we're going on online learning on Monday.
This Dallas kiddo told me she's a little nervous.
What are you scared of?
How cold it's going to be.
Parts of the Lone Star State are expected to stay below freezing for longer than 60 hours straight.
Our state agencies have already prepackaged food, water, cots, and blankets on our military vehicles and with DPS to be able to support stranded motorists and to help support any of these warming centers.
Texas Emergency Management Chief Nim Kidd.
We will have damage assessment teams ready to go. And listen, we know people are going to get out and try to drive on these roads once they get icy. We all know that. There's a high likelihood somebody's going to slide into a power pole and take a line down. You need to be ready at your home in order to stay warm and have a family communication plan.
Weather experts say parts of northeast Texas, northern Mississippi, and southwestern Tennessee will get the most substantial ice. The highest snowfall totals, up to 2 feet, could accumulate in the central Appalachians and into the Northeast. About 175 million people under winter weather or extreme cold alerts. The system threatens to bring a mix of frigid cold air, rain, and snow to a 2,000-mile stretch of the U.S. In Dallas, I'm Clayton Neville.
Vice President JD Vance visited Minneapolis Thursday for a roundtable with local leaders and federal law enforcement in the state carrying out immigration raids. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
Meeting with reporters after his roundtable discussion, Vance called for local elected officials to work with federal law enforcement to lower the temperature and lower the chaos.
Do we want these arrests to be so chaotic? No, we don't. These guys want it least of all, but if we had a little cooperation from local and from local and state officials, I think the chaos would go way down in this community.
Protests continue against ICE actions in the city. Vance says federal law enforcement needs to be able to do their jobs and not have to worry about their safety.
A ton of ICE agents in this city right now that I would rather us not have. I'd love to send those guys home. They're not even doing targeted immigration enforcement. They are trying to protect ICE officers who are doing immigration enforcement, because when a crowd surrounds them and these guys call 911, the local officials, the local cops have been told to stand down.
U.S. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino, also in Minneapolis, accused the local police department of refusing to answer federal agents' calls for help. The vice president was also asked about a 5-year-old boy that school district officials in Columbia Heights say was taken in his driveway along with his father after getting home from school. They say he was used as bait by the officers to arrest the father. Bovino and Vance say that wasn't the case.
And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death?
District officials say 4 children have been taken by officers this week. Hundreds of businesses, restaurants, and schools are planning to close today in protest of the ICE actions, calling it the ICE Out statewide shutdown. And a state magistrate judge has elected not to sign a complaint against journalist Don Lemon over the anti-ICE church protest he participated in last week. Attorney General Pam Bondi is pursuing criminal charges against the protesters. 3 arrests have been made so far. John Stolnis, Washington.
President Trump surrounded by world leaders as he signed the document proclaiming the Board of Peace for the Gaza Strip. As correspondent Donna Warder reports, a number of European heads of state were not named to the board, mostly because Vladimir Putin was invited to join, which is declaring an ambitious agenda for what is being called New Gaza.
Everybody wants to be on it. But, yeah, I have some controversial people on it, but these are people that get the job done. These are people that have tremendous influence. And, if I put all babies on the board, there wouldn't be very much.
Please welcome the chairman of the Board of Peace, the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
A signing ceremony Thursday at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, for President Donald Trump's new Board of Peace, which began as part of the peace process for Israel and Gaza. But Trump says the board can help mediate conflicts around the world. Trump says 59 countries have signed on so far, from Azerbaijan to Paraguay to Hungary.
We are truly honored by your presence today, leaders of countries, and most cases very popular leaders, some cases not so popular, but that's the way it goes in life.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country is still consulting with its strategic partners before deciding to commit. France, Norway, and Sweden say they will not participate.
In the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what, let's just plan for catastrophic success. Hamas signed a deal to demilitarize. That is what we are going to enforce. People ask us what our plan B is. We do not have a plan B. We have a plan. We signed an agreement. We are all committed to making that agreement work. There's a master plan. We'll be doing it in phasing. In the Middle East, they build cities like this in 2-3 million people. They build this in 3 years. And so stuff like this is very doable if we make it happen.
I'm Donna Warder.
School police officer acquitted, families outraged. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky used a popular movie reference to bash what he described as Europe's inactions during Russia's war against Kyiv. Washington correspondent Sagar Magani.
Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky is ripping European allies for what he calls a slow and fragmented response to Russia's war in his country. For the former comedic actor,
everyone remembers the great American film Groundhog Day,
where Bill Murray's character relives the same day over and over. Ukrainians are too.
No one would want to live like that, repeating the same thing for weeks, months, and of course for years. And yet, that's exactly how we live now.
At the World Economic Forum, Zelensky made the same plea from last year, urging Europe to stand up as a global force. For now,
Europe looks lost.
The criticism came hours after Zelensky talked with President Trump.
The meeting was good. Look, we have a ways to go.
His special envoy was due to meet with Vladimir Putin in Moscow as the U.S. pushes a peace settlement.
Maduro is on trial in New York. Sorry, but Putin is not on trial. And this is the fourth year of the biggest war in Europe since World War II. And the man who started it is not only free, he is still fighting for his frozen money in Europe.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
In Texas, there's outrage from the families of the victims of the Robb Elementary massacre after a former Uvalde school officer was acquitted of charges over the police response. Correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
29 children were in danger.
On May 24, 2022, at least 370 law enforcement officers rushed to Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where a teenage gunman ultimately killed 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers. Adrian Gonzalez was among the first on the scene, but prosecutor Bill Turner says
there was a man who had a duty to act, who failed to act.
Gonzalez faced 29 charges of child abandonment and endangerment and up to 2 years in prison. But his attorney, Jason Goss, told jurors,
the memory of those children that I agree should be honored is not honored by an injustice in their name. It's not. And so we're asking you to find him not killed.
Jurors deliberated for more than 7 hours before doing just that. Gonzalez said he was thankful, but declined to offer a message to victims' families. I'm Ben Thomas.
There have been steep declines in the homicide rates in many U.S. cities. A report from correspondent Mike Hempen.
A report by the Council on Criminal Justice shows a 21% decrease in homicides last year from 2024 in 35 U.S. cities. According to the report, homicides declined in 31 of the cities, resulting in nearly 1,000 fewer in 2025 than the previous year. But experts say it's too early to say why the declines are happening or how long they will last. The report tracked 13 crimes and recorded drops last year in 11 of those categories, including carjackings, shoplifting, and aggravated assaults. I'm Mike Hempen.
Big changes coming for Google's search engine, an AI upgrade. Chuck Palm, as the new old tech guy, has that story.
Gemini 3 can tap into your Gmail and your Google Photos with your explicit permission to give responses that are tailored just for you. Here's the quick lowdown. Turn on AI mode in Google's conversational search feature for complex multi-part questions, and the system can pull up context from your emails and photo gallery. Then the AI can reference your personal tastes for recommendations, perhaps a weekend getaway, or your personal fashion style. Gemini can spot patterns in your saved or uploaded photos, or it can remind you about a restaurant that you love from an old receipt. Again, this is strictly opt-in, and you choose to connect to those apps, and you can disconnect anytime through your Google activity settings. Google is stressing privacy, saying that their model doesn't train directly on your full inbox or your photo collection. It only uses limited info from your specific prompts. And the more you use it, the better it gets over time. If you have a Google Business Workspace account, this will not be available, at least initially. This does seem to make AI a little more personal. The ecosystem already knows a ton about you, and making that data work for you in search could save a lot of time, especially if you're juggling travel, shopping, or your personal projects. And if it creeps you out, turn it off. Visit thenewoldtechguy.com for my weekly recap. I'm Chuck Palm.
Friday Sports is in. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
NHL Thursday, 3 division leaders lost last night, each by the same 4-3 score. The Bruins scored 3 times within 54 seconds of the first period, then had to hold on to beat the Pacific-leading Golden Knights. The Wild clipped the Atlantic Division's best Red Wings in overtime, and the Blackhawks shaded the Hurricanes in a shootout. Oliver Moore sinking the Metro leaders with a goal in the 6th round of the tiebreaker on his 21st birthday. His personal highlight, winning a fight.
We didn't have a ton of momentum in that game, so I just wanted to try to spark the boys a little bit. Obviously, I haven't really worked on fighting, you can probably tell, but I just wanted to stand in there for him.
Elsewhere, the Penguins lit the lamp 3 times in a 37-second span of the first period and capped the Oilers. Predators used a Steven Stamkos hat trick to rally past the Senators. Sabres slashed the Canadiens for their 17th win in the last 21 games. Panthers grounded the Jets in a shootout, and the Blue Jackets blanked the Stars. NFL Conference Championships coming up on Sunday. In the AFC, the Patriots take on the Broncos in Denver. Then in the NFC, the Rams meet the Seahawks in Seattle. On the coaching carousel, the Ravens have tapped Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter as their new head coach. He's worked for Jim Harbaugh the past 4 years, first at Michigan, then in L.A., and now replaces John Harbaugh, under whom Minter began his NFL coaching career as an assistant in 2017. Baseball, the Nationals dealt left-hander Mackenzie Gore to the Rangers for 5 prospects. At the Australian Open, top seeds Carlos Alcaraz and Aryna Sabalenka opened third-round play with straight-set wins, while number 3 Coco Gauff dropped the first set but rallied to beat fellow American Haley Baptiste and advance to the 4th round. That's Friday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, a look at judicial AI. Mercy, after these messages. A record-breaking day for the Academy Awards as one movie garnered an historic number of Oscar nominations. Lisa Dwyer reports that an original screenplay beat out all others in Oscars nods this year.
As Oscar-nominated actress Danielle Brooks and actor Louis Pullman announced this year's Oscar nominees, one thing became clear. It would be a salute to the movie Sinners. Best Original Screenplay.
And Sinners, written by Ryan Coogler.
Editing.
And Sinners.
Cinematography.
Sinners.
Actor in a leading role.
Michael B. Jordan in Sinners.
Best Picture.
Sinners.
In all, Ryan Coogler's blue-steeped vampire epic Sinners led with 16 nominations, setting a record for the most in Oscar history. The father-daughter revolutionary saga, one battle after another, the favorite coming into the nominations, trailed in second with 13 nominations. Conan O'Brien returns to host the Oscars, which airs Sunday, March 15th. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Concerns for heavy snow and icing will affect millions of Americans over the weekend, but for anyone who can make it to the theater, there's a new movie starring Chris Pratt about judicial AI. Kevin Carr has a sneak peek at Mercy.
If you didn't get enough cameras watching other cameras in last year's War of the Worlds, you can see more of the same in the new action thriller Mercy.
I'm Judge Maddox, and this is the Mercy Capital Court, a judicial system powered by artificial intelligence.
Mercy tells the story of a man on trial by an AI judge. He has only 90 minutes to prove his innocence before being executed.
The city's municipal cloud is at your disposal. Every camera, cell phone, and database. You must gather evidence to exonerate yourself.
I don't have any issue with the questions the film raises because they are plenty and daunting.
If you are innocent, prove it.
However, the movie struggles to make any coherent argument, good or bad.
Do you honestly think that I killed my wife, or were you just programmed wrong?
It starts with a montage of crumbling society seen in better movies like Escape from New York, The Purge, and RoboCop. And if you can accept the premise of tearing down precedents like due process and presumption of innocence, you might enjoy things.
With crime rates soaring, lawmakers voted for mercy by acting as judge, jury, and executioner.
But by framing this as a single trial told with flashy found footage, it feels both lazy and overworked. The writing features a string of cliches, with every twist a new cliche.
Mr. Raven, the clock is ticking.
And the final resolution honestly makes little sense.
You're running out of time.
Show yourself some mercy and skip Mercy.
Wow, thank you for that.
Mercy gets 2 gavels out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
America in the Morning for Friday, January 23rd, 2026 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.